In the name of the goddess, halt! Who goes there? In that case, you can rest easy, Hunter. There is no source to be found here. Only the glory of Immaculates. Why, it's Silver Glen, of course. Once the abode of miners, now the abode of the faithful. We have traded the search for silver for the pursuit of divinity. I'm sure this sounds strange in what are strangers' ears, but you must know that but a short while ago a frightful sickness felled us by the dozen, until she who speaks for the goddess brought us a cure. She showed us how we may overcome the frailty and even the decrepitude of our mortal bodies. That is why we now live a life of devoutness and civility, so that we may become immaculate. But I suggest you talk to Father Loik if you want to learn more about the ways of the goddess. Be welcome, therefore, to Silver Glen. Blessed be all Immaculates.
The Immaculates here seem to be a friendly
The
enough
world
bunch.
is not immaculate as yet,
Seeing being
friend.
the operative.
Beware.
The degenerates here claim they have been cleansed. But I can still smell the stink of persisting putrescence wafting from their grimy flesh. Silver Glen. This place sickens me. As you know, I once carried the burden of disease upon emaciated shoulders. Perhaps I had better explain in greater detail. By all means, if you're in the mood for such a dark tale. It went like this, Hunter. If a ghoul I had become, so a dark turn of thought convinced me. A ghoul's methods I should employ to escape the labyrinthian crypt of corporeal corruption. A necromancer I'd be. Yes, only from deep within the deliriums of death would I tunnel my way back into the gardens of life. I did unspeakable things in the dusky dungeons that twist like forgotten veins to long-deceased organs far beneath my castle's sunlit halls. Halls which held my throne and held the bed upon which Heraka slept, her very touch blessing the satin she reposed upon. Still there came no relief. Perversions I created in scores, but they were mere undead all. Creatures so piteous that the thought of cheating death in their guise frightened me more than the swing of the scythe itself. Like mosquitoes in the night, panic and despair beset me until I turned to that darkest of all arts, demonology. It had to be. There was no other way. I could feel the life slipping out of me like love out of a betrayed spouse's heart. So I studied tomes so old the dust that fell from their centuries' unperused pages never knew the light of the stars that now shine. I drew forbidden symbols. I spoke unhallowed words, and from the smoke that rose like a dragon's last breath, a demon appeared to me and said, "Ask, O blighted king, and you shall have." "Just tell me," I cried. "Tell me what ails me." Heraka. Never had I known a single word can cut deeper than the sharpest of daggers. With maddening glee, the demon told me she was one of his kin. A soul-swallowing horror that had been feeding on both my body and my spirit like a leech. An ancient being was she, that moved from king to king throughout the ages, filling their hearts with love, then draining them of life. After such revelations, does one truly desire to live on? Death seemed like a mother then, welcoming me with her all will be well embrace. Yet still I feared exceedingly her seemingly sweet caress, and the oblivion that would follow. Release me from her, demon, and give me back the strength of a sick, free existence. So went my desperate plea. It smiled, of course it did. Smiled bare 100 razors as its eyes came alight with infernal fire. 1,000 years I will give you, it whispered. But then your soul shall be mine to incarcerate in the depths of hellish nemesis. As for your throne, that I'll have now. What say you, O brittle king? Do you accept my terms? I think you know the answer to that question, Hunter. But I've said enough for now. These memories are painful to recollect. So let us turn to the rest of them later. And so let the hunt continue.
Well, well, well. So our very own demon hunter once dabbled in the so-called darkest of arts himself.
A man so utterly betrayed and dying will grasp at any straw. I can hardly blame him.
Neither can I. Clearly his great love was almost the very death of him. She broke his heart in more ways than one, and I too would go to any length to repair it.
Over here, Hunter. Source Hunter. You've made it into the hamlet of Silverglen, I see. Unnerving spot, don't you find? Leandra has fashioned herself a hero here, but the townsfolk don't seem to know the truth behind the conduit. Though they call they're thick as trout, if you ask me, and unnaturally obsessed with ancient teachings. I haven't seen Leandra here myself, but she must have put on quite a show of magical mastery to enthrall a crowd of shaggy miners, to have them hop on the bandwagon of a shadowy religion wholly alien to them. Haven't you heard them whisper of the blood? How their eyes shine when they discuss certain stellar stones? Star stones, of course, which drenched in blood become bloodstones and are used in healing rituals. Now, I can see how it could be a fantastic thing to nurse a dying human back to health, if all it takes is to sacrifice a toad. But I spy bloodlust in these people's eyes. A bloodlust that goes beyond the usual meaning of the word. They all act like they're following a benign goddess that will lead them to paradise. But I'll be a dappled Dalmatian if any of that is true. I've been shadowing the local priest, a man by the name of Loic. I have the feeling he knows more than most in Silverglen, for I've followed him in the night when he meets with cloaked strangers, and goblins even. Mangoth, Hyberheim, of strange things I've heard him whisper. Yes, this priest has shady goings-on written all over that smug, holier-than-thou face of his. But we must start at the beginning, Source Hunter. The White Witch is still at large. If we want to get to the true heart of Leandra's doings, we must start with her sister. And she's far likelier to be in her cabin among the trees than here among Leandra's followers. The advantage of being a puss, my friend, is that one can pussyfoot. A white-haired wizard draws attention, but a cat can move about unnoticed and, indeed, unseen. Not that I'm not extra wary of these bloodsuckers, though. There's a conspicuous absence of pets in this eerie little town. The Immaculate's presence here is highly disconcerting. But we mustn't lose sight of our mission, Source Hunter. The White Witch resides somewhere in the wilds of the surrounding forest, and we must find her.
Beware of the lost ones out there, Wanderer. Their blood is impure.
Blessed be the goddess, and blessed be the
Welcome be, O seeking souls, to this holy house of immaculates. I am Loic, enlightened one among immaculates, spokesman for the holy conduit, as she is spokesman for the goddess herself. Hers is the blood. Then it shall be my pleasure to answer them. We are the chosen ones of the goddess. The benedictions of the blood render our bodies and spirits unblemished, for such is her mercy, that we may all become part of the sacred soul. And you too, Seeker, could become one such part. The conduit, yes. She, the most exalted of all, second only to the goddess. It was she who brought us first her divine words, then her divine will, a will made real in blood. Truly, though, she is quite beyond your concern, O wandering soul. She stands so very high above your humble station.
Let me spill blood for thee, O Holy One!
The goddess is the light and life of all. Corrupt is the world that generations of men and beasts have left behind, but immaculate it may be once more, cleansed in the blood of the unworthy. The few, the proud, the enlightened, theirs will be her kingdom. When red has run until no red is left, a paradise we will have shapen, and the goddess will dwell among us. You find yourself in the goddess's temple, therefore it follows she wants you to take the true path. So here, have this hallowed tome, read it, absorb the wisdom within, then find the second part and do with it the same. If an immaculate you want to be, a test of knowledge shall be your first step towards enlightenment. Remember, O brothers and sisters, O seeking souls, the miracles with which the blessed conduit rid our mean and mangled bodies of the rot that plagued it. Miracles we deem them no longer, no. Infinitely greater we now know them to be. They are the blessings of the goddess brought in action.
Immaculate I want to be. The blood of the lost will flow. Diligently will I read the words of the goddess.
Blessed be the goddess, and blessed be the conduit.
The goddess is the word. Through the conduit, then it shall be my pleasure to answer them. Do you hold it to be true, O Seeker, that you are ready to be tested? A most sacred trio of queries shall I put before thee, but even if thou falterest but a single time, unworthy will thou be deemed of the goddess's love. Blessed be your willing spirit. We commence. Premise the first. In honor of the goddess, that which was stellar must become sanguine. Correct?
Correct.
Agreed. That is correct.
Premise the second. The blood of the greater should be used in service of the lesser, so that balance may be achieved. Correct?
Incorrect.
Yes, that is incorrect.
Premise the third. Only those who have partaken in the spilling of blood and thereby created the stone that lives, the stone soaked with blood, may be called an immaculate. Correct?
Correct.
Agreed. That...
Most gratifying. Oh, yes, most exemplary indeed. You have understood the words of the goddess, and I deem you worthy of her true test, of the true trial that shall make you an immaculate.
Blessed be the goddess, and blessed
We are the
be...
chosen ones of the goddess. The benedictions of the blood render our bodies and spirits unblemished, for such is her mercy, that to become an immaculate you must experience both the goddess's bane and her boon. Leave Silver Glen and take the western path. Follow it to where the winds howl and a great skull looms within the rocks. There you will find it, the hollow and the true trial within. Immaculate guards bar the way, but tell them you have my blessing and they shall let you pass. But take utmost care, the road is beset with horrors, and your mettle will be truly tested before you've even set foot within the goddess's trial. It would behoove you to train in advance of setting upon that treacherous path.
Of the goddess!
I shall await you in the chamber of blood.
Alma Malbenita, a source hunter in Silver Glen. I have traveled mile on top of mile to find help, and now help has, how you say, appeared from skinny vapors. My story? Well, this is no small tale. I think perhaps you will be more interested in the, how you say, the short end of stick. I believe Lawrence, the leader of mining guild, tell my husband and many of other workers to mine deadly ore called tenebrium. Lawrence knew that this ore caused rot. Charming name, no? Yet ordered miners to continue. Many men, my Ben among them, become the sickness. And now they, how you say, kick down the bucket. But the sickness, it is not normal. It kills swift and terrible, not unlike sores. My son Sebi and I travel from our home to find truth. But this has proven not so easy. My sweet little Pomargo Visago, my darling Ben, we got along like, how you say, peas and ferrets. But here there is work, very well paid, in mines, clearing special rock from silver mine. So he leaves Sebi and I to come to Silver Glen. We wait with hearts like stones for some months. And one day we see familiar figure moving with strange steps on path toward cottage. We run to meet him and take him into our arms, but he collapses at our touch. We help him inside and set him to rest. But he was in terrible condition. Each hour he grow worse, rot so fast we hardly recognize him after 2 short days. He slip away from us, and we bury him with much grief. When his father die, Sebi become restless. Being of the age, he join army and go straight to front line. Though I was nearly old woman, I join army as healer to be near and look after my boy. There we saw special legionnaire using strange weapon, and this legionnaire soon come to my tent with the same disease that killed Ben. I discovered the tenebrium ore in this weapon. It was the ore that killed them both. I come to Silver Glen to discover truth, and here I find Lawrence, that arrogant man, conducts his business without apologize to any. Exactly this. Please, Source Hunter, you must help me prove that Lawrence made his workers to mine deadly tenebrium. For your help, I offer blessing from my homeland. Se vi mal successos, mi plantos rizzarbo cae tormenti via nepo soggiai branco. Translation is difficult, but it means something like, if you fail, I will plant cherry tree and haunt your grandbaby beneath branches. Good luck. I will do my best to give answer, Source Hunter. I have not found scrap of civilization among these apes. Sebi longs for heaping plate of my famous sire mule, but the local fairs support no fine food, unless squirrel meat inspire you. As for neighbors, well, those cultists would rather sacrifice supper to goddess than eat it. May Zalmoxis strike him down, the murderer! I have one goal in Silver Glen, to make him share in the suffering he caused. I am certain he has gained from making those miners take the tenebrium. Now I have only to prove it. Nothing natural could cause such terrible disease at mere touch. If you ask me, I say dark magic, maybe even source at its root. That foul thing! A terrible disease. It transforms flesh of living into flesh of corpse, while infected person still lives. Arms grow black and heavy, legs grow black and heavy, hair rots from scalp. Cielo helpo min! Oh, what memories I have. This illness...
Hello and welcome to our shop. I am the son of the proprietor, Nadia. Please let us know how we can help you. You've probably noticed that my mother Nadia and I aren't from around here. No. We traveled rather far from our hometown to plant new roots here in Silver Glen. My father, Ben, his death was somewhat mysterious. And we've traced the puzzle back to this little settlement. My mother will have plenty to say on that subject, if you're interested. Ma's a bit intense, to be sure. Set in her ways, but fiercely loyal to the family. Help her out and you've got a friend for life. Cross her, and you'll be better off skipping town. Not that that'll stop her from cursing your line for the next 1,000 cycles of bendis. My father was a good man, equal in character to his wife. His death nearly destroyed us, Ma and me. But now we're here, and we won't leave until we've held the proper parties accountable for their role in his death.
Brandon, what news from the mines?
No news, sir. Goblins will slice us to ribbons if we approach the bridge.
Unacceptable. I want those goblins out of my mine by yesterday. Send another man. As many as it takes.
We haven't enough men among us to take on even a few of them, sir.
Are you deaf? I said I want those goblins out! Make it happen, even if you have to spear Drexis yourself. A source hunter! My liege, I am at your disposal. I am Lawrence, the representative of the mining guild responsible for operations in Silver Glen. Please, valiant hunter, let us know how we can assist you. Oh, I am no one special. Merely a humble servant of the guild, and shepherd to the happy flock of miners within this settlement. My only cause for complaint, your grace, are these awful goblins. They're starving us out, refusing even a single honest miner his right to work. Perhaps, my most upright highness, you might be able to help us with this little problem. You must forgive me if I become somewhat overcome when discussing it, my liege. To think how I've been betrayed. To think how the humble miners of Silver Glen suffer. I invited a tribe of goblins to assist us in clearing the tenebrium from our mine, you see. The leader of the troop, a satin-spitting Satan named Drexis, promised to clear the tenebrium and be gone. When the job was done, though, he and his band of totem-brained fiends refused to vacate. They've kept close guard of the bridges to the mine since, and they'll slice whoever dares approach them into ribbons. These goblins follow Drexis like lemmings, Your Grace, and if only I could undo the traitor, they'd slither back to the swamp they crawled from. Drexis's head on my mantle would save countless miners from a slow starvation, my liege. What's one goblin over countless disenfranchised workers? Preposterous! What does that foreigner know about the affairs of Silver Glen? You do best to do as I do, my liege, and turn a deaf ear to her insane accusations. Please, Your Grace, I am completely at your disposal. Ah, yes, Ben. Of course, one of our many noble miners, Your Grace. A smallish man. I believe he's around here somewhere, isn't he? Those brutes! I invited them here to save our valued miners from the ill effects of clearing Tenebrium, and those interlopers met my invitation with a hostile takeover.